Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new year. Today, well, unsurprisingly, I'm actually making a video for once, but I have a mock that I spent less than 12 hours working on. So, realistically, everything was going great until I actually ended up starting working on the front. But aside from that, this F15 Eagle has turned out very well, except for my landing gear, which is why we're going to start at the bottom. Now, the bottom is well tiled off, so that it's structurally sound, containing two sides, primarily holding two types of missiles. I kind of just put them on there without too much thought as like the last step, making them seem like somewhat practical missiles, giving them the fire effect at the back so that they look a little bit more active than just being stiff. I do also have this larger just cannon here because I had the little camera piece. I kind of just wanted to put something on here that was a little bit bigger and larger. Aside from that, I do just have two regular gun turrets, but it was mainly to keep something that was a little bit more concealed. This one's a little bit obviously protruding off of the front, but I wanted something that was a little bit more condensed and confined within there. Now, most of the underside uses a dark gray combined with some of the light gray that protrudes out. I have two of these little clip pieces, mainly that they just stay stable, holding out the landing gear, so I didn't really make it too stable, but I wanted to have the impression that there was actually some landing gear, so I add them. Both sides are complete mirrors of each other because I wanted to keep it at least somewhat symmetrical, at least on the underside, since it's not too crazy. Now, the front landing gear actually has a nice little tuck away feature where you can kind of just close it up, so in flight you don't really see it like how you wouldn't see these because they're made stiff enough so that they don't fall back down, but they don't really work too well as landing gears, which is the only fortunate side. Not that I really needed them to be that great. Moving back to the rear of the F15, I do have a little bit of thruster engines which are combined together. They're not really the most detailed thing because I didn't have some extra large flame pieces, but I think it's fine this way. I really like how I had from the bins that I bought two of these spare little gunmetal gray dish or turbine pieces, which make great additions here, just adding a little bit of that color amongst all of the light gray. But the front of it is a little bit rough, I would say. As I said, I did manage to get the nice little engine pieces here. I might have overextended the underside here just a bit too much, but I like how the sides, both of which being a little bit unique, add a little bit of flavor, but not too much. And also this front bar just doesn't do too much to protrude. It gives me enough space to add a little bit of clip to kind of just transition over to the front of it, which then ends off with the cone. Maybe at some point I'll add a larger nose to it, but at this point it's pretty fine. If I turn it over, I added a bunch of just like dark blue greebling to give it a little bit of sense of color, and that's really what I used as the main color. I was hoping that I'd have more of this color here, because that's what I saw, at least from pictures, that it used this kind of bluish gray, and I was hoping just to fill in the space within the light gray here with a bunch of this blue, and I found enough to make a symmetrical pattern on both sides, but I had a large surplus of dark blue, or navy blue, and so I used most of that. I like how I redesigned the fins here, because initially they were a lot smaller and less imposing, but I think I made it much nicer. I also really like how I made a transition between light gray and dark blue, adding a little bit of just coloration there to kind of fill up the space. Now, I feel like the back of the wings could have turned out a little bit better. I added this plus shape here, a little bit of dish, a little bit of curvature at the back, and I feel like scale-wise, it all looks really good, but I feel like I could have had a little bit more splash of color. I feel like I could have had some more pieces here and really touched it up in spaces where it could have made it look better. I also do like that the flames penetrate a little bit, so you get that feeling like, yeah, it's moving through the air really fast, which I think is a nice touch. Now, the most interesting part here is this canopy. I wanted to try to do some of those little bars, similar to how most aircraft do, including the Lego Indiana Jones one, which does use a sticker, but it has the little crossbar pattern, so I was hoping to kind of replicate that somewhat. I think it turned out okay, but it could have been better. On the inside, I did put a little bit of dark tan so that there's a little bit of seating there, as though there's a pilot, a little bit of a radar so that you can get some details, or at least some information while you're there, and then 2 of the miniature antenna pieces. It's a little bit hard to see as like some extra controls. I was initially going to do like a specialized steering wheel, but it realistically was a little bit out of scale to really make it fit in here. But I feel like all in all, for the time that I spent, really happy with it. And for like a introduction into building something fresh, especially for the new year after being a little bit out of practice with just mock building since I've been looking for pieces for the past few months, I feel like this turned out well. And then I decided to make a smaller version, which cockpit-wise probably turned out much better, and realistically feels more like a mechanical bird than anything, but for the time that I spent on this, I feel really good about the microscale version, and then a little bit less so about what I accomplished on the larger scale. But given the fact that it's quite big, especially in comparison to some of the other sets that I have, like the Justifier, how realistically it matches a similar, like, size profile to it, even though this thing, for some reason, costed $170, and this was just an assortment of pieces that I had from bins. It really puts into perspective just how many pieces I got from those bins, and also just the fact that I can still make things, which is probably pretty good. So thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this mock, and hopefully I make some more videos. Take care.